Joining me now is Nevada Democratic Congressman Stephen Horsford. Congressman Horsford, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kristen, for having me on.
Absolutely. I want to start with a little bit more of what North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer told us today. Get your reaction on the other side.
My own constituents voted for this. It's not like Donald Trump is surprising everybody. He has signaled his strong support for tariffs from the beginning. He's exercised it in the past. And with that, he got 66% of the vote in North Dakota. So with this promise, they trusted him. And so, yeah, I'm comfortable with where my constituents are on it.
Congressman, your state also voted for President Trump in November. What do you think of the rationale from Senator Cramer? Does he have a point?
Well, look, Kristen, no American president has taxed the American people so much, so fast, and so recklessly. To be clear, a tariff is a tax, and Donald Trump owns this. This is not what he campaigned on. He, in fact, said that he was going to focus on lowering costs for the American people. His actions are doing directly the opposite. These taxes are going to inflict tremendous harm, create financial instability, not only to households here in Nevada, but small businesses here and all across the country. In addition, it's going to raise the cost on everything from appliances to groceries to toys that we want to be able to get for our kids and our family. That is how irresponsible this is, and Donald Trump is going to own it.
Well, you know, as you are well aware, candidate Trump campaigned on a promise to impose more taxes. We saw him impose taxes during his first term, albeit these are more sweeping, I think, than he signaled on the campaign trail. But is this what Americans voted for, Congressman?
No, they voted to lower cost. Here in Nevada, the people are concerned about the cost of rent, the affordability of housing, the access to child care and health care. None of that is going to be addressed through these Trump taxes. This is going to cause those prices that we depend on, that we buy every single day, to go up. Yes, Donald Trump barely won Nevada, but he won by talking about lowering cost. And that is not what he's doing. His actions are actually doing the opposite. And in addition to that, the focus is just completely off. He wants to talk about focusing on U.S. manufacturing and jobs. So why is he defunding the Department of Labor? Why is he taking away workforce and education skills programs that will actually help American workers get prepared for the skills of the future? You can't do one thing and then have Elon Musk taking the keys to the country and dismantling essential services that we depend on every day.
Well, as you know, Congressman, Article 1 of the Constitution actually gives tariff powers to Congress, so Congress could theoretically act here to end President Trump's emergency powers over tariffs. Do you get any sense, are there any conversations right now about asserting Congress's authority over tariffs, about finding a way to slow this down in any way?
Absolutely. I'm a member of the Ways and Means Committee under Chairman Ranking Member Richie Neal, as well as our leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. We are absolutely exploring all efforts of what we can do in Congress, what can be done in the courts, because unfortunately, this executive branch and administration continues to exceed their authority, and most importantly, what we need to do in the communities that we all represent to mobilize the people. I just left a senior center here in my district. They're worried about their Social Security and their Medicare. They're worried about what these taxes through this tariff policy will mean to them. I just talked to a group of business owners yesterday, and those who represent the travel and tourism economy. Not only are these tariffs hurting us, but immigration policy that's also hurting our biggest industry here in Nevada, which is travel and tourism.
You know, it's worth noting that the Senate did pass a bill to block President Trump's tariffs on Canada. Do you think there's going to be a petition for a discharge petition? Just to let people know what a discharge petition is, it essentially means you can go around House leadership to get the bill directly to the House floor. Is that something you would support, Congressman?
I would absolutely support it. We did this week around providing paid leave for members of Congress that have newborn children. But instead of allowing that bill to come up, Speaker Johnson canceled the rest of the actions and canceled our week of session in the House. Over in the Senate, of course, Cory Booker held the floor for 25 hours trying to bring attention to the need to push back on Donald Trump and his reckless policies. Not only was it a commendable show of force, but more importantly, he talked about the moral moment that we are in, that this is not about left or right, that this is really a choice between right versus wrong. Donald Trump is wrong. His policies are wrong. It's hurting the American people. Tariffs are taxes, and they're hurting the American people. They're going to cause us to have to pay more, not less, and that's not what he promised.
Congressman, I want to ask you about the Democratic Party. We have a focus group. This is in partnership with Syracuse University, Engatius, and Sago. It's produced with a group of black men in swing states who voted for President Trump. I want to play you some of the things that they said about the Democratic Party.
I'll say they pretty much failed at everything. I think lost. They're a lost group.
To me, it feels like they more want to scare you into following them than to go on with what your, heart really thinks should be done. So I would say manipulation.
You are, of course, the former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. What is your reaction to what you just heard? How do you win some of those voters back who you lost?
Well, look, there's a lot of voters, black men and women included, who have every right to feel the way that they feel about both parties. I also know that since the election, there's a whole lot of remorse. There's a whole lot of introspection. And in fact, that's why the Congressional Black Caucus PAC has launched listening sessions, just like you're doing with these focus groups. We're in Virginia this weekend. We'll be in other cities throughout the country throughout the summer, because really we need to start and maintain a conversation with all of our constituents, but especially Black America. I agree with black men who feel that the system is not working for them, that they have to work twice as hard to get half as far, that all that we want to do is to thrive, not just to survive, that we need policies that lift us up. But here's what's happening right now under Donald Trump and his administration. They're trying to take away the tools of opportunity, whether that's the opportunity to learn, to have access to capital, to start a business, to own a home, or even to have the right to vote. That ultimately is what this is all about. And this is not an election time. This is a time for us to lead and to govern.
All right, Congressman Horsford, thank you so much for joining us. Join us again soon. We really appreciate hearing from you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on social media.